Hello dear viewers and welcome to T-World. Kindly hit the subscribe button and we will be on our way. In today's news, subsequent to directing in excess of 1,000 meetings, gathering large number of reports, and going head-to-head with uncooperative Donald Trump partners, this week the House Select Panel examining the January 6th Capitol mob will move into another stage, starting off a progression of 8 early evening broadcast hearings. For the principal hearing on Thursday, June 9th, the board has guaranteed new observer declaration, beforehand inconspicuous material, and a synopsis of what it's found out about the organized, multi-step work to upset the consequences of the 2020 official political race and forestall the exchange of force. There will without a doubt be a few firecrackers. While setting up its show, the board searched out top scholars to fabricate a story spine chiller that propels crowds, The Washington Post revealed. Yet, court archives and press reports originating from the examination have proactively exposed a lot of upsetting and stunning data about Donald Trump's work to take the 2020 political race, and a few subtleties that are outright humiliating. Here are the most stunning disclosures up to this point. From November 3, 2020 to January 6, 2021, basically every Republican authority or usable with odd thoughts regarding obstructing the desire of American electors was messaging then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Everybody from Ivanka Trump to MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell to Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene shows up in a huge number of messages Meadows went over to the January 6th Board of Trustees, a considerable lot of which were hence distributed by different outlets. The most stunning Meadows texts came from Ginny Thomas, the long-term moderate extremist who additionally is the spouse of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Messages distributed by CBS News and The Washington Post show she messaged Meadows multiple times, over and again, forcing him to get to chip away at upsetting the 2020 political decision. The messages contain references to different misleading political decision misrepresentation paranoid notions, incorporating some famous in QAnon circles. Seems like Sydney and her group are getting immersed with proof of misrepresentation. Make an arrangement, discharge the Kraken and save us from the left bringing America down, Thomas said in one message. Thomas likewise referred to a discussion with my dearest companion a few seconds ago that mitigated her feelings of dread that Trump's political race plot would fizzle. Ginny and Clarence Thomas are referred to allude to one another as their dearest companion. Yet certainly the equity would have recused himself from 2020 political race-related cases on the off chance that he realized his better half was prompting Team Trump. 2 days after the 2020 political race, Donald Trump Jr. sent Meadows a message spreading out techniques to guarantee his dad remained in office, paying little heed to who really won. As per CNN, Group Trump proceeded to seek after the strategies he referred to, including documenting claims to challenge political decision results, requesting describes, advancing sham substitute balloters, and impeding Congress' certificate of a Biden win on January 6, 2021. Its actual basic, Trump Jr. message to Meadows: we have different ways we control them all. It was genuinely clear as of now that Trump expected to take the political decision, as he'd been planting the seeds for a really long time and rashly proclaimed triumph on election night. However, the Don Jr. text is more proof that this wasn't simply free talk from the president. Trump's internal circle had multi-pronged arrangement that they were attempting to execute before the political decision was called. Document under irrelevant yet at the same time profoundly humiliating. On election day, the Fox News have, who demands he's a free columnist not simply a Trump sap, asked Meadows for informing guidelines and answered with yes sir. Per CNN, Sean Hannity to Mark Meadows: NC going to be all right. Mark Meadows to Sean Hannity: stress each vote matters. Get out and cast a ballot. Mark Meadows to Sean Hannity. On radio, Sean Hannity to Mark Meadows: indeed sir I. Sean Hannity to Mark Meadows: on it. Any spot specifically we really want to push. Mark Meadows to Sean Hannity. Pennsylvania, NCAZ. Sean Hannity to Mark Meadows: that is correct. Mark Meadows to Sean Hannity. Nevada, Sean Hannity to Mark Meadows: got it. All over. Recently, Representative Benny Thompson, executive of the January 6th Advisory Group, affirmed reports that Trump and his counselors sought after plans to hold on to casting a ballot machines after Election Day. On December 18, 2020, 4 intrigue scholars including previous public safety counselor Michael Flynn and attorney Sidney Powell met with Trump. As indicated by Axios, they encouraged him to have the Pentagon hold on to casting of ballot machines and name Powell as extraordinary direction to examine electoral misrepresentation. Incredibly, Rudy Giuliani destroyed the thought. However, At Trump's course, he then requested the Department from Homeland Security's acting representative chief if his organization would hold on to the machines. He said no. In January, Politico distributed a never-given draft leader request predictable with the Powell-Flynn plan. The power source noticed that the request would have given the defense secretary 60 days to compose the evaluation, which proposes it might have been a trick to keep Trump in power until essentially mid-February of 2021. No less than one observer told the House Advisory Group that Trump said he was agreeable to the January 6th horde killing his VP. As the New York Times gave an account of May 25, 2022, not long after many agitators at the Capitol began reciting "Hang Mike Pence." On Jan.6, 2021, the White House head of staff, Mark Meadows, left the lounge area off the Oval Office, strolled into his own office and let partners know that President Donald J. Trump was griping that the VP was being sped to somewhere safe and secure. Mr. Meadows, as indicated by a record, gave to the House Board of Trustees researching Jan.6, then, at that point, let the partners know that Mr. Trump had expressed something with the impact of, perhaps Mr. Pence ought to be hanged. The shock over the news that the U.S. president needed his VP dead wore off before long, for two reasons. In the first place, there's some conceivable deniability around the earnestness of Trump's call to see Pence killed. The Times detailed, it isn't clear what tone Mr. Trump was said to have utilized. Second, we definitely realized that Trump at any rate didn't protest the serenade, as he safeguarded his allies' deadly aim toward his VP in a meeting with Jonathan Karl recorded months sooner. In front of the January 6th board's consistent vote to reprimand Meadows for declining to conform to a summon to show up before the council, Representative Liz Cheney read off certain messages Fox News has shipped off the head of staff on January 6, 2021. However, the organization's stars later minimized the revolt live. As the Capitol revolt was unfurling, they were begging Meadows to make Trump shut down it. Mark, the president needs to advise individuals in the Capitol to return home. Laura and Graham messaged, this is harming us all. He is obliterating his inheritance. If it's not too much trouble, get him on television, obliterating all that you have achieved. Brian Kilmeade composed, could he at any point say something? Proposed Sean Hannity, request that individuals leave the Capitol. However, it was eclipsed by Trump's supposed support of the "Hang Mike Pence" serenade. Similar Times reports said observers told the House board that Mark Meadows involved the chimney in his office to consume records. A couple of days after the fact, Politico offered some more detail on the White House head of staff's old-school proof obliteration strategy. Then White House head of staff Mark Meadows consumed papers in his office in the wake of meeting with a House Republican who was attempting to challenge the 2020 political decision. As per declaration, the Jan.6 Select Advisory Group has heard from one of his previous assistants, Cassidy Hutchinson, who worked under Meadows when he was previous President Donald Trump's head of staff, told the board researching the Capitol assault that she saw Meadows burn records after a gathering in his office with Rep. Scott Perry, an individual acquainted with the declaration, portrayed it on State of Obscurity. Consuming reports is by and large a sign that you're planning something sinister. However, with regards to potential government records regulations infringement, Trump has Meadows beat. During his administration, Trump exhibited on numerous occasions that he has a genuine gift for doing bizarre stuff with paper, because of the January 6th Advisory Group. In winter 2022, we got some more detail on his affinity for paper tearing. To start with, the Washington Post uncovered that a lot of records just came to the January 6th panel thanks to the wizardry of Scotch tape. At the point when the National Archives and Records Administration gave over a stash of reports to the House Select Board exploring the Jan.6 rebellion, a portion of the Trump White House records had been torn up and afterward taped back together, as indicated by 3 individuals acquainted with the records. Then, at that point, the paper detailed that Trump's constant paper tearing was an issue all through his administration. Interviews with 11 previous Trump staff members, partners, and others acquainted with the propensity uncovered that Trump's destroying of paper was definitely more boundless and aimless than recently known, and, regardless of different reprimands, reached out all through his administration, bringing about unique practices to manage the torn sections. The greater part of these individuals talked on the state of secrecy to share sincere subtleties of a tricky practice. The tearing was persevering to such an extent that Trump's group carried out conventions to attempt to guarantee that he was complying with the Presidential Records Act. At last, Maggie Haberman put the cherry on top of this dessert of crazy Trumpian conduct, writing in her book that staff in the White House home occasionally found rolls of printed paper stopping up a latrine. and accepted the president had flushed bits of paper. In a March 2022 court recording, the January 6th counsel contended that it ought to have the option to uphold a summons against Trump's legal counselor John Eastman in light of the fact that the reports being referred to add up to notes on a criminal trick. The Select Committee has a pure intentions reason for presuming that the president and individuals from his campaign participated in a criminal connivance to swindle the United States. The board wrote in a legitimate brief. A little while later, California government locale court Judge David Carter decided that Trump in all likelihood corruptly endeavored to deter the joint session of Congress on January 6, 2021, and that Trump and Eastman without a doubt deceptively schemed to impede the joint meeting. Eastman was requested to give in excess of 100 messages to the board. He consented, however, is as yet battling other board demands in court. So what's the significance here for Trump? As intelligencers Ed Kilgore made sense of at that point, it's not exactly as significant as it sounds. It's far, unreasonably right on time to imagine Trump being driven from a court in leg irons. The documenting just specifies possible crook allegations. The January 6th Board of Trustees has no ability to bring them, and at most could elude proof to the Department of Justice, which would arrive at its own conclusions about arraigning, or almost certain, not indicting, the scofflaw ex-president and his cohorts. In any case, two Trump guides, Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, have proactively been arraigned for criminal scorn of Congress subsequent to declining to help out the January 6th panel. What's more, maybe once the board delivers its full discoveries, every one of the pre-hearing holes will look agreeable by correlation.
If you made it to the end of the video, kindly hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. It helps the channel.